Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Yes, at least not excellent, but much better. Much better. So then what we want to do today, this morning, I'm excited because it's all about finance. It's all about finance. It's all about finance. And I would want us to look at the basic principles of capital budgeting, which cuts across advanced financial management and the intermediate financial management. We have capital budgeting. We have the investment decisions. As you're aware, of course, one of the roles of these finance managers is to assist organizations to make investment decisions in situations where capital is scarce. In situations where capital is scarce. So we have to budget whatever little capital we have in a way that we will be able to make what we call optimal gains. Make what we call optimal gains. Make what we call optimal gains. Optimal gains. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that have never taught before, my name is Dr. Joshua Aura. I teach at RCM Online College, and this is basically our school's number. We would want to invite all of you to join our classes, online classes. Given how it is raining, of course, we know very well that you are better off studying from wherever you are. It could be in your offices. It could be in your homes. From wherever you are, wherever you feel safe. And then, of course, we shall be able to relay our classes to you very well. So this is our number, 0719 525,000. You'll be interested. So then I would want us to look at the base of the basis of our making investment, stroke capital budgeting decisions. We'll need a very, very important basis here called compounding stroke discounting. Compounding stroke discounting. Now, ladies and gentlemen, compounding is not something that I should be able to expand. Compound interest. This is something that most of us did in high school. And if you remember very well, in high school, they told us that amount equals principal into 1 plus r raised to power n. So is there somebody who is able to remember this formula called compound interest formula? Amount equals principal. Yes, at least Idi Amin can remember. Amount equals principal into 1 plus r raised to power what here? Raised to power n. Thank you so much. So remember, principal is the amount that you are investing today. Principal is the amount that you are investing today. So assuming, for example, your principal amount today is 100,000, the rate of interest is 10% per annum, and then you keep this money for 5 years with that particular institution, with that bank, then how much will you be able to get in the form of an amount? So amount now will include the principal itself, which is 100,000 plus the interest. So abracadabra, ladies and gentlemen, let's straight away use this compounding interest formula. So we know that amount equals principal. Principal, I'm taking this principal, what I'm investing today is 100,000. What I'm investing today is 100,000. 1 plus R. R is the rate of interest. R is the rate of interest, which in this case is 10% is the same as 0.1. 0.1. Then come and raise this to power n. Number of years, we are talking of 5 years. Number of years, we're talking of 5 years. Then these will cascade down to 100,000 into 1.1 raised to power 5. So you say 100,000. Let's ensure that all of us we are able to raise. In our calculators, raised function is appearing like this. One that has got 1 bullet there. So you say 100,000 times 1.1 raised to power 5. Raised to power 5. So then at the end of the day, what are we getting, ladies and gentlemen, here? Really, I would want somebody to tell me the figure that we're getting here. And I'm so happy because I can now see we are quite a good quorum. We have many students here. So then the amount will be equal to what before amount. I'm not getting answers here. Remember, the guys who are following me on YouTube, wherever, you should also be able to comment on, you should be able to give your answers on the comment section there. And always remember to give your teacher, in this case, a thumbs up. You're subscribing to his channel, all right? That's how you'll be able to make this Mwalimu International. I would want Google to rank me, and of course, our college here, RCM Online College, way up there, way up there. So in this case here, according to Elijah Ninja, they're giving me, I normally call my students ninjas because we are here really to fight one common goal, one common enemy, a good enemy for that matter, who is Kasneb, Who is Kasneb. So as they throw their kicks like this, we shall be able to throw better kicks. Better kicks, yes. We shall be able to throw better kicks. All right. So in this case, I'm being given an answer of 161,051. This is 161,051, of course, point something etc. But you can see now here we are getting more than 100,000. We are getting more than 100,000. So we shall end up getting an interest over and above that 100,000 we invested. We shall end up getting an interest of what year? An interest of 61,051, like that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Am I able to get like an exact number? Is there somebody who can even give me the decimals? I want the decimals as well. I want the decimals as well. I want the decimals as well. Is there somebody who can go an extra mile and be kind to Mwalimu by giving me the decimals? Or did it come like exactly? Did it come like exactly 161,051? It's exact. Or up to test after class. Okay, fine. Great. 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 So they're telling me in this case it's exact, right? They're telling me it's exact. I need to give somebody a present so that I can open up guys to even communicate more. Guys to communicate more. So we are getting this 161,051 as the total. Ladies and gentlemen, remember this amount you're going to get, the cumulative amount, is what we call the future value. So whenever you see this amount A, it's also known as what your future value. Future value. And now that is what connects my arguments today. Today I've got very good arguments, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm saying here, from this formula, we are saying, ladies and gentlemen, something very important, that future value equals present value into 1 plus r raised to power what here? Raised to power n. So this is something that is so interesting to me that I would want you guys to highlight. And if possible, in this case here, put a yellow over it. Highlight this. Future value, instead of saying now amount, because you shall not be using amount. Future value equals present value into 1 plus r raised to power what here? Raised to power n. Raised to power n, like that. Very, very important, my good students. Very, very important. Now, then this attracts me to something. I would want somebody in this case here to make PV the subject of the formula. From this future value formula, is there somebody who is able to make PV the subject of the formula? Oh, yes, I will be able to do it. I know that present value will be equal to future value, so I take this to this side. Future value into 1 plus r raised to positive n. So I wanted to make, in this case here, present value the subject of the formula, to be left on one side alone. So for it to be left on one side alone, I will take the future value divided by this. Future value divided by this. Future value divided by this. In mathematics, if, for example, you are given like 1 over 2, is there somebody who knows that 1 over 2 can be written as follows? 2 raised to minus 1. Is there somebody who knows that 2 can be written as follows? That I can take this denominator and make it to become part of the numerator, but introduce what we call bar 1. Introduce bar 1. Can somebody use your calculators? I know 1 divided by 2 is the same as 0.5. This I know. But how about 2 raised to minus 1? How about 2 raised to minus 1? Is there somebody who can just raise them? Please, I would want to see every student raising. Simply go there and say 2 raised to minus 1. 2 raised to minus 1. And then you get to confirm whether we are getting this 0.5. Let's get to confirm whether we are getting these 0.5. 0.5, thank you very much. So I would want us to use this same analogy to take, in this case here, this 1 plus r raised to power n up there. I would want us to take this 1 plus r raised to power n up there. So, ladies and gentlemen, if I do that, there's no problem. That I can do very, very well. By simply coming and saying here that my present value will be equal to future value times 1 plus r, but this time around now I can't say raised to n. I will say raised to negative n. I'll say raised to negative n because really there is a denominator, numerator interchange. So I have to introduce what we call bar 1. I have to introduce bar 1. I have to introduce bar 1. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please listen and listen to me very well. Present values will always be smaller. Present values, when I'm getting present values, I'm discounting. Whenever I'm getting present values from future values, I am discounting. I am discounting. Present value equals future value times 1 plus r raised to negative n. This negative means what here, that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm moving backwards. It means that I'm subtracting here. I'm getting a discount. So, ladies and gentlemen, to discount is to ascertain present values from future values. If I were you, I would have mentioned that in capital letters, in some red pen, as a way of showing that I'm marking this up, that the discounting is the process by which present values are obtained from future values. Present values are obtained from future values, 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 are obtained from future values. Tell us, ladies and gentlemen, that we have got 2 types of cash flows. There are 2 types of cash flows. There are 2 types of cash flows. Once you understand this, then we are good to go. There are two types of cash flows. There are 2 types of cash flows, full colon. Number 1, we have what we call irregular. Irregular is also known as non-uniform. Irregular is also known as non-uniform. So non-uniform, for example, year 1, you're getting a cash flow of 10. Year 2, you get a cash flow, for example, 15. Year 3, you get, for example, a cash flow of 8. So in this case here, these cash flows are fluctuating. They are not uniform. They are fluctuating. And ladies and gentlemen, whenever I get irregular or non-uniform cash flows, you simply use PVIF. Use PVIF to discount. Use PVIF to discount. Always irregular, or lump sum cash flows, or lump sum cash flows. We use, ladies and gentlemen, in this case here, PVIF to discount irregular or lump sum cash flows, or lump sum cash flows. What do you mean with this lump sum, one-off amount? Assuming, for example, today I buy a very good asset, and this asset will give me, say, like 10 million, but after 5 years. You see, in between I'm getting 0.000. But on the 50 year, I get like that, whatever amount, all of it released to me at once. That amount is as good as an irregular. There's no regularity there. That amount is as good as what is irregular. So whenever you hear of lump sums, you shall always use what we call PVIF to discount irregular cash flows or lump sum cash flows. So this PVIF that some of you could be hearing today for the very first time, this is what we call present value. This is what we call present value interest factor. Present value interest factor. Present value interest factor. Present value interest factor, ladies and gentlemen. For us to be able to get this PVIF, I would want you to write some other formula, that PVIF is 1 plus r raised to negative n. This is the formula of PVIF, and I know for those of you who are quite bright, those of you that were there from the very beginning, I'm so sure this 1 plus r, even the raised to negative n, negative meaning that you're discounting. You know, negative means you're discounting when it's supposed to be a compounding. So I'm so sure some students will be able to remember this. So anytime they want me to give them PVIF, PVIF will be equal to 1 plus r raised to negative what here? Raised to negative n. What I do not know, ladies and gentlemen, is whether really we are together. Are we together? Just as a confirmation, you know, at times I talk very fast, and there's so many people tell me that, Mwalimu, for sure you talk very fast. But again, I'm articulate. I'm eloquent. That one I know. All right. I know how to express myself, but at times students may feel that I'm moving quite fast. Should that happen, please, just like you being a policeman, allow yourself in this case here to bring me down to a lower speed by just flagging me down as a policeman. You flag me down. All right. So Elijah has confirmed, Mwalimu, we are together. We are together. We are together. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would then want us to look at this illustration. I would want us to look at this illustration, so that we shall be able to mention there, my good students, that Mr. Elijah expects to receive as an illustration. Mr. Elijah expects to receive, Kenya shillings, in this case here 16,051. Was it 116 or 161? I think 161. Kenya shillings 161,051 in 5 years' time. In 5 years' time. In 5 years' time. And then the R provided is 10%. Then we are required to determine the total present value. 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 So we have a situation here where Mr. Elijah expects to get Kenya shillings 161,051 coming to him as a block, just one-off return at the end of the 5th year. All right. And then we have in this case here, the interest rate is 10%. As we shall see later on, ladies and gentlemen, this will be called the cost of capital, the cost of not Elijah having this money today. Great. So Elijah is expecting to receive this amount in 5 years' time, and then we'll be given the cost of capital. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is how I will be able to solve this question. So I can see vividly that, first of all, this is about what your present valuation. So I need to ask myself, what cash flow is this? The cash flow that I have is a lump sum cash flow. Lump sum, receivable, one-off at the end of the 5th year. So, and if it's a lump sum cash flow, the next thing that I will do, I will remember at the back of my mind, I know that to discount lump sums, we use PVIF. The first thing I will do is to come and compute what we call PVIF. I will come and compute what we call PVIF. And to get this PVIF, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we are doing. We are taking 1 plus R raised to negative n. So then this one here will be 1 plus R. My R is the rate of return, the rate of interest. It is also known as cost of capital. The cost of capital is 0.1 raised to negative 5 because n is the time period. So, ladies and gentlemen, then this will translate to 1.1 raised to negative 5. Can I kindly get the final answer here from each one of us? Please let's know where raised to is in our calculators. Let's know where raised to is in our calculators. Raised is like this. Raised is like this. Raised is like this. So you'll come and, ladies and gentlemen, talk of, in this case here, 1.1 raised to negative 5. How I wish I would get this from everybody. How I wish I would get this from everybody. The answer here. What is 1.1 raised to negative 5? 1.1 raised to negative 5. How I wish I would get this from every individual, who is here, who is privileged, or rather that I'm privileged to be hosting in my Zoom class, that I'm hosting in my LinkedIn. And I would want to encourage all these guys who are here that we must make RCM College the most popular college in LinkedIn. You simply go to LinkedIn and search for RCM College. Search for RCM College. There you should be able to follow. We need to get as many people there as we have on Facebook. You see, on Facebook, RCM College is 28,000. But LinkedIn, we can't be at 400 really. And of course, we started being aggressive with it the other day, but that can't be the reason. The 28,000, who most of you are my members at on Facebook, you need to go to the other side and please give us what here, give us numbers on the other side. All right. So they're giving me 0.6209. So they're giving me 0.6209. All right. So thank you very much. And once I get that, then I'll be able to remember very well how we get the total present value. To get the total present value, this is what I will do. To get the total present value, I will take Elijah's cash flow times the PV that you have already gotten here. Elijah's cash flow is 161,051 times the PV that you have just computed here, which is 0.6209, like that. So you're able to confirm, like somebody is telling me, MD is telling me that you're getting 100,000 there. Is there somebody who is able to confirm that you're able to get 100,000 there? Anybody who is able to confirm that you're able to get 100,000? How I wish these guys were talking to me. How I wish these guys were talking to me. Is there anybody who is able to confirm they're getting 100,000? 100,000. After I do the multiplication, I take this times this. Is there somebody who is able to get that 100,000? They have confirmed yes. Thank you very much. So the present value. So somebody will come and tell you, hey, I'll give you 5 million Kenya shillings in 10 years' time. Tell them, hey, listen, I know that's 10 million, but in terms of today's equivalent, it's not 10 million. You are denying something from me. I would rather, in this case, you give this amount to me today, and then I grow with it. Because I'll be able to take this money and, for example, put it in government bonds, and I'll be able to get what here? Interest like that. Interest. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please listen. How about this one? Now we have, in this case here, Karuki. Mr. Karuki's cash flows. Mr. Karuki has gone into some business here that has got what here? That has got some cash flows. And these are the cash flows. These are the cash flows from Mr. Karuki's restaurant. So we have year one in thousands. Mr. Karuki gets 16,552. Year two, he gets 1,000. Year three, he gets 2,000. Different amounts, irregular amounts. And then we are required here to determine the total present value. Determine the total present value if coke is 10%. If coke is 10%. Remember, coke is the same as what here? Cost of capital. Same as rate of interest, really. If coke is 10%. If coke is 10%. If coke is 10%. If coke is 10%. So abracadabra, this is what I will do. Having realized that these amounts are irregular because they are fluctuating, I'm going to get hold of them from the future, discount them using PVF. So I'm going to apply PVF again here. So here what I'll need to do, because this is a tabular approach, I will come here and write the word PVF. PVF. And I know the formula. It is 1 plus R raised to negative n. So I will come and plug in. So I know this will be PVF will be 1 plus 0.1 because R is 0.1 raised to negative n. All right, and this is so beautiful. So when I go to year number 1, the PV here, you know, this is 0.1. The PV here, 0.1 plus 1 is 1. So this 1.1 raised to negative 1 because of end of year 1. Then we have here 1.1 raised to negative 2. Then we have 1.1 raised to negative 3. And then you should be able to give me, values. You should be able to give me values. How I wish all of us had, it's like most of us don't have calculators today. How I wish we had great calculators where you simply come and tell us 1.1 raised, and ensure that you know how to raise. So 1.1 raised to negative 1, and then you give me an answer. I'm raising to negative 1 because this is the end of year 1. This figure, receive it end of year 1. These are receive it end of year 2. These are receive it end of year 3. End of year 3. So, ladies and gentlemen, are you able to really give me these figures? So we have Elijah giving me 1991. 0.9091. Thank you very much. How about in this case here, receivable at the end of year 2? So 1.1 raised to minus 2. Is there somebody who is able to see that figure? And I hope it will not be Elijah again. Somebody different. So Elijah has been able to confirm. MD has confirmed as well. Thank you very much, MD. 0.8264. 0.8264. How about 1.1 raised? Please ensure that your calculator has got that raised. So you simply say 1.1, and then you press this raised, and then you say -3 there by the side. -3 there by the side. That will be able to help us. So year 3, I'm being told here by, there was a ninja up here who gave me this figure first. That's MD, 82, 80, 75, 13. Yeah, 75, 13. Thank you very much. 75, 13. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be able to create the last column here where I capture present values. How do I get present value? To get present value, you take the cash flow that is here, you multiply with the PVF. So you'll take, in this case here, the cash flows, you multiply them with the PVFs to be able to get the present value. The first present value will be 1652 times 0.9091. We have 1652 times 0.9091. Is there somebody who is able to give me a number there? I'll write down. Is there somebody who is able to give me a number here? I write down. I want to put this down. What do we have here? I'm being told by, nobody has told me this. The LinkedIn followers, look for RCM College. Love that. Make that your #1 favorite college. And come and train with us. We have online classes that we shall be able to relay, of course, this great content to wherever you are, at the comfort of your sitting rooms, even inside your bedrooms. We shall be able to bring our heads to you people at a very, very convenient amount of 4,800 per paper, which you can as well pay in 2 installments. So I'm being given a figure of 1501.82. Thank you so much. That is the first present value. I need 2 more present values. This one I know. The figure will be 826.4. But the last one I do not know. The last one I would expect you guys to help me. The last one I would expect you guys to help me. The last one I would expect you guys to help me. The other one I would expect you guys to help me. 2,000 times 0.7513. 2,000 times 0.7513. And I really thank you so much, because at a very short notice, I normally get big following. At a very short notice, I normally get a big following. I don't take it for granted. I know that that must be the grace of the Lord, who of course works through you guys to bring in always my, or rather your colleagues, to my online. I mean, who will call even at a very short, such a short notice, and they get even more than 10 students? Not easy, not easy. And remember now, most of them are still working at etc. So I count myself to be privileged. So the last one, now we are talking of these 200 times 2,000, times 0.75. It's like I'm being given a figure of 1502.63. 1502. Therefore, you come and now add the 3 numbers. You add the 3 numbers for you to give us what we call the total present value. Add the 3 numbers for you to give us the total present value. Add the 3 numbers for you to give us the total present value. Now we can add them because they're children of the same mother. They belong to the same time frame, present time. Now we are adding them. You can't add cash flows, future cash flows, no. You have to present value them, and then you add for us. So the total present value, so I'm waiting for a good Martin to come and give me this plus this plus this. Give me a number, I write down. Give me a number, I write down. Give me a number, I write down. I would want to put this down. I would want to put this down. Total present value. Total present value. Like most of you do not have calculators. So I think then we can be able to agree, like, when do we have this, again, free of charge FM class? This is applicable to the 2 papers. You can't go to an FM class or an AFM class, a rather exam, without knowing this. You'll always get 0, 0, 0, 0. So we have here 38, 30.83. 38, 30, 30.83. Later on, I'll be showing you how we subtract the initial cost outlay, the initial outlay out of this to get what we call net present value. That's beyond the scope of our today's class. Our today's class, basically, we are learning how to discount. We are learning how to get present values. We are learning how to get present values. We are learning how to get present values. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have two types of cash flows. We have what we are calling irregular that I've been able to deal with. I've been able to blow it away by showing you two good examples. And then now we have number two. Number two, we have now what we call the regular cash flows. The regular cash flows. What we also call the uniform cash flows. Uniform cash flows. What we also call the annuities. The annuities, what we call the annuities like that. Annuities like that. Annuities like that. Annuities like that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please listen and listen to me very well. Please listen and listen to me very, very well. I would want you to listen and you listen to me very well. Very well. You see, for regular cash flows, we shall use PVFA to discount. We shall use PVFA to discount annuities. To discount annuities, we should always use PVFA. And this PVFA is really a simple thing. It is present value. It is present value, interest factor, present value, interest factor of an annuity. Present value, interest factor of an annuity. We normally use PVFA to discount regular. For example, this year you are getting 10, next year you're getting 10, the other year you're getting 10, 10, that amounts to uniformity, regularity. That amounts to uniformity. That amounts to regularity, uniformity or regularity. The short courses for RCM students, is it still available? Right question there. You know, we are at the tail end of finishing those short courses. If you join right now, of course, as an RCM student, you'll be able to gain. And of course, I'll be doing a lot of repetitions in form of giving you other classes in future. But rest assured that most of the time, you shall work with videos. From our learning management system, you shall work with videos. But yes, that offer of 1850 per short course is still available. But you will be able to now use like a combo, videos and some few classes, which are now what year? Live. Now, ladies and gentlemen, after I've been able to get this is what then I will be able to just remember. That PVF, the formula of PVF is 1 plus R raised to negative N. The formula of PVFA, the formula of PVFA, to remember it, first of all, I'm forced to remember this. To get PVFA, we normally talk of 1 minus this simple formula. 1 minus 1 plus R raised to negative N, and then everything to be divided by what here? Everything to be divided by R. That is how we normally get the PVFA value. To get PVFA, we normally take 1 minus, into brackets here, 1 plus R raised to negative N, everything to be divided by what here? Everything to be divided by R. Everything to be divided by R. Let's assume Stanley. Stanley is a great ninja here. Let's look at an example of Stanley. Stanley expects to receive, example there, Stanley expects to receive Kenya shillings 10 million per annum for 5 years. And then we have the cost of capital is 10%. So we are required to get Stanley's total present value. We are required to get Stanley's total present value. Stanley's total present value. Remember, Stanley is a great ninja. He's getting 10 million, shillings 10 million per annum every year. For how many years? So I am able to see the concept of uniformity there straight away. I'm able to see the concept of annuity straight away. And the moment I recognize that, then this is what I will do. In my solution, I know that I'm going to use now PVFA to discount this. And if it's PVFA, ladies and gentlemen, I remember the formula of the easy formula of PV is 1 plus R raised to negative N. And therefore, to get now the PVFA is a walk in the park. So PVFA now, this will be a walk in the park. So PV far, so PV far will be 1 plus R raised to negative n. No, PV far will be 1 minus this simple formula, which is 1 plus R raised to negative n. And then everything to be divided by what here? By R. Everything to be divided by R. Everything to be divided by R. So in that case, ladies and gentlemen, my PV far here will be 1 minus, we have here 1 plus R. So we have here 1 plus R, where our R is 10% raised to negative n. This gentleman is receiving this 10 million every year for 5 years, number of years. And then everything to be divided by R. You see, R is 10%, and 10% is the same as 0.1. And the moment you reach here, ladies and gentlemen, then you should be able to give me PV for using your, and this is how you shall do it in your calculator. What you shall do is to come and say 1 minus, open brackets, 1.1, closed if you wish, raised to negative 5. First of all, you take care of the numerator. After you say equals in the numerator level, whatever answer you get, you divide it by 0.1. You divide it by 0.1. Divide this by 0.1. So I'm seeing Stanley giving me a figure of 3.7908. Which other ninja is able to get this figure? Do we have any ninja that is able to get this figure? Do you have any other ninja that is able to get this figure? 3.79. I would want to repeat severally until we really appreciate this. Until we really appreciate this. 3.7908. How did I get this? I took 1 minus 1.1. Then ensure that you know how to raise. And ensure that you know how to raise like this. And ensure that you know how to raise like this. Yeah? So you raise to negative 5. And then you say equals first. Once you say equals, you are able to get the numerator. Whatever answer you get, you say divided by 0.1. Whatever answer you get, you say divided by 0.1. Elijah has confirmed 3.7908. You seem to be having calculators, my great students. And the way I wanted to handle like a bonanza here, where we start in this case here competing for presents, 500 bob, 300 bob. I mean, on the basis of speed. On the basis of speed, we is able to get these answers pretty fast. So perhaps what we could do, this gift session, maybe I call upon you. We have that, for example, tomorrow in the afternoon, if you don't mind. Tomorrow in the afternoon, if you don't mind. Yeah, for the gift section, because it seems you guys are great, but it seems like you guys do not have calculators, all of you. I can't be getting answers from 2 or 3 students only. I don't want this to be only shared by those 2 or 3 students. I would want, ladies and gentlemen, like normally how we used to, like these answers are coming from all sides of Africa to my destination here. Some answers coming from Kapenguria, other answers coming, by the way, it's very good for me to know. Which counties are you guys joining me from? Which counties? Can you mention your county there? Which counties are you guys joining me from? Which counties? Can you mention your counties, ladies and gentlemen, before I proceed? Somebody, Nairobi County, Nyeri County, like CPA, like Bungoma, J. Nyeri. Elijah is just here in Nairobi. How about the other ninjas? Kakamega, great. I'm telling you, this thing of learning online is big. You can see somebody, like Kipia. This guy comes from the county that I went to school. I went to school at Nanyuki. Doreen, Nairobi here. Great. Great. So I know quite a lot about like Kipia, those conservancies like Sweetwaters. Uasin Gishu, the county of champions. We have Dennis here. It's coming from Nairobi. You can see, ladies and gentlemen, these online classes are all over. All right. They are all over. They are all over. They are spread all over. And all of us should be able to do what here to gain out of them. All of us should be able to gain out of them. Ladies and gentlemen, then having gotten this PV4 as 3.7908, then I need to come and now finish the question. This examiner had asked me to ascertain how much this guy called Stanley would get, the total present value. So the total present value will be the cash flow, times now the PV4. So remember the cash flow, you're only taking 10 million. You're only taking 10 million times now the PV4, which is 3.7908 like that. So 10 million times 3.7908 What are we getting there? Somebody? Is it 37,908,000? I don't know. Thousand. Just confirm. Kenya shillings. Kenya shillings. Kenya shillings. Is that what we are getting, ladies and gentlemen? So you only take one cash flow here. We're only taking one cash flow here. 37,908,000. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I would beg to stop here. But now when you come to my tomorrow's class and I'll be able to share the link with you, two things. You're coming for gifts and you're coming with your friends. So two things. I'll send the link to you very early and ensure that you're coming with gifts and you're coming with your friends. You're coming with your friends. The class will be tomorrow at what time? At 8 p.m. Actually, not tomorrow. It is today at 8 p.m. It is today. I'll make it a free class today at 8 p.m. Ensure that you join in for purposes of gifts. And I normally give great gifts to those students who participate. So long as you are a participator, then you'll be able to get so much. Yeah. Yeah, the decimals will always affect calculations. And that is why that's a very good question. For PVFA, we always talk of you guys, PVFA and PVF, discounting factors. You round off to how many decimal places? 4, always 4. They should not be 5, they should not be 3, they should not be 2. They shall always be 4 decimal places. So see you in the evening. And of course, the hashtag, go to LinkedIn, look for RCM College. Follow. We need RCM College to have a crazy following on LinkedIn. RCM College on LinkedIn, follow, and then you let me know. Otherwise, guys, ninjas are following me on YouTube. Ninjas following me on Facebook. Also, don't forget the following button, subscription button. Don't forget to give me good emojis. Always give me over there. Don't give me an emoji like this. I don't like these emojis over there. These emojis, you only do them in class. So in my LinkedIn, if you're doing an emoji, let that emoji be a smiling one or a dancing one, whichever. Otherwise, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to meeting you guys in the evening. Thanks and bye.